And we're live.
Hey everybody, Capt Ron here with the group, the whole group, nothing but the group.
Everybody.
Tonight's or this week's live, Fearless Flight Live. Welcome everybody. The show that, let's see how fluid I can go into the share mode here and just really dazzle you all with my fancy footwork.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
This is the show for anybody who's afraid to fly. Or if you know somebody or you just frankly just like to keep up with some things in the airline industry. We have our Fearless Flight group, custom Facebook group called Birds of a Feather. We always want to mention that. Go over there, please. And the show, whether you're live or watching the replay, or when you're join the group, and leave us a message. Tell us what's going on, and connect with other people to get mutual support, which is one of the 3 pillars of our Fearless Flight method. Connecting with other people is probably the most important thing. It helps to feel validated, not feel as crazy as you might sometimes, and give you a place to go when your loved ones threaten to throw you out of the family because you won't do anything but drive in the car anymore. So tonight, big show. We're going to talk to you about the Air Hollywood class that Dieter has done. Worked very hard at to create the sales page there. Coming up on October 25th, 26th. There is going to be another one in Phoenix. We're going to defer on that. We didn't want to steal the thunder from the Air Hollywood class. We'll highlight the live monthly group coaching webinar. This month is just 2 nights away, this coming Thursday. Eric's going to bring in some highlights on the ATR-72 crash. Usually crashes in other countries like that don't get that kind of notice, but everybody saw the thing flat spinning in, and that'll set the imagination on fire. And so how about just a little testimonial I got from one of our newest inspirations, our newly launched Fearless Flyers. And of course, anytime you want questions and comments, we'll do our best to field that. Okay, so Dieter and I are going to give a whack at this, and so we've got our I can't say annual, biannual. This is our next live Clear for Takeoff 301 class. Geez, my mouth doesn't work anymore. Anyway, and we've got a great offer for everybody out there, and the best thing is that you can do it for cheap. You don't have to pay the gargantuan prices there, and we're gonna, between Dieter and I, we're gonna try to get that to you. So should I go over the main page, do you think, right now, Dieter? And
yeah, I think what's really important for anyone who's watching, if you please put in the comments if you have ever participated in one of our Air Hollywood classes, because if you have, we'd love to hear from you. And if this is all new to you, so we're basically doing a live in-person class in an aviation-themed movie studio.
You're looking at my Chrome now, right, Dieter? You see the Chrome page?
We're looking at the page. Yep.
All right. So there's what you're going to see first, right, Dieter? You're going to see a couple of choices here. On the left, Clear for Takeoff 301 Studio Plus Flight. What does that mean, Dieter?
Well, that means that you're going to come to the Air Hollywood studios in Los Angeles on October 25th, and you're going to be dazzled by an amazing setup in a warehouse that will probably make you feel at some point like you are in an actual airplane. And then on Saturday, so the next day, you're going to have the option to fly with us from Burbank to Sacramento and back. So that's behind door number 1 on the left here.
All right. So should we take them through the process here?
Yeah, because we do have, we've done this class pretty much annually except for the pandemic years. So we do have a lot of information on this page.
Yeah. So what do you get? You get to go with a bunch of your newest best friends on a flight to put all that crap with anxiety related to flying behind you. And this is, we're extra excited again because our good friend Talat, Captain, who owns the Air Hollywood Studios, has moved yet once again post-pandemic, and so you'll be dazzled, and we might be dazzled with you because we've not seen his new setup. He's got it's a whole sound stage, and it promises to be really give us a lot of fidelity, and it's a mock-up, so it's kind of fun. And we're going to talk in a minute. If you can't make it to the class, we still want you to join it, and we'll talk about some of the benefits there. So $497, that's the price. There's a video here, okay, and this is of a similar Clear for Takeoff 301 flight a couple years ago.
That's the Boston, yeah.
That's the Boston one. So you click on this.
I don't think the audio is coming through, but
okay, well, you get the idea. It's dynamic and it's fun to watch all these people. And this group was legendary because everything that possibly could go wrong that day on an airplane did. There was a storm that went through, a big nor'easter that went through, dumped a bunch of snow. It was snowing when we took off. We had to de-ice on the ramp. We had turbulence all the way down to Baltimore. We landed in Baltimore. We had to do a tire change on the way back. It was just amazing. And these people here, scared to death when they showed up. By the time we got to Baltimore, they were like, bring it on. We can do this. So anyway, so it's fun to watch that video. As you scroll down through the page, you're going to see some of the benefits there. We're not going to talk about that a whole lot. We want to get down to the meat of this so you can find out what the heck flight are we taking. Well, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're going to find
and
out.
I would actually recommend that you actually go through the whole page, because there's a lot of information on that page. So
when you get to this page, this is at the very bottom of that. If you look down here, it says, welcome Los Angeles, October 26, 2024. Flight details. I can blow that up just a little bit. Yeah. Oops, wrong way. Okay. And then if you click over here to the right on preview, guess what? It's going to tell you all the details you need to know. Step one, if you haven't done so already, purchase your FearlessFlight CFT 301 Air Hollywood tuition. So that's your first step. And we'll try to highlight some of the ways you can get in there for cheaper than $497, because that's what we want, as many people as we can. Next step, get over to Southwest right away and get your tickets. I secured mine at $99. That's still on. Dieter, this is fresh from today.
Yep.
So you want to get over there, because if you look over here on the left, that's what it's going to go to eventually, $189, or at least $149. So no reason not to get over there and buy the tickets. Hey, if you want to get over your flying, buy the damn tickets. And if you decide for whatever reason you don't go, you still got the money invested in tickets. Show your
and they are actually, even if Ron, is that correct? Even if they buy the cheapest getaway fare, those points never expire, right? So
never. No, they changed it. Yep, you get the credit. So if you want to fly later on, you don't, when you pick somewhere else and it's $400 for wherever and whatever you decide to go to, you don't get $400 for the new ticket. You get $99 credit. But like Dieter says, the best part is that credit remains to you. Now, if you want to pay another, basically, what is it, $25, I guess, you can get the want to get away plus fare. Now you get that credit to you, or you can assign it one time to another person. So it's another way. If you want to be prepared to get the whole thing back, you buy the anytime at $149, and now you can get your full cash back if you choose to do that. Okay, so Burbank, Sacramento, we're leaving it at 1:30, up at 2:55, coming back at 4 o'clock, back at 5:15. Nice short little flight up, a little bit of ground time up there, time to get a hamburger or something, and then coming back will be all done by 5:15, and you will be one proud papa or mama as to doing this and putting yourself back in there. After you purchase your tickets, come back here and you click on this link. We need to know that you're going with us. And so you'll click on that and you'll get a little information.
But you have to do that after, because as part of filling out that form, your 6-digit Southwest Airlines confirmation code, you have to have that in order to fill out the form. So and that just helps us pre-register you. So on the day of the flight, we're usually a pretty big group. and the folks over in Burbank are very friendly, but we also want to make it as easy as possible for them to get our group through.
Yeah, and they're great.
Yeah,
We've
and
been
then-
doing we've been doing this flight with the Burbank station for a long time. They treat us just super. They give us pre-boarding passes, and we go up to Burbank or up to Sacramento and turn around and come back. Go ahead, dear.
And I just wanted to point out, so if you do want to fly with us, but you can't make it to the Air Hollywood studios on Friday, when you do register, we'll send you an email and you can register for free for the live stream option, which is the next thing that we're gonna quickly touch upon.
So let me clarify.
That was
He didn't say free for everybody. He said if you're registered for the flight but can't make the pre-flight, then you can register free for that. But we do have an option for those of you who, let me go back, those of you who can't make it and you live somewhere else in the world. It's a great opportunity for all of you to watch what we do.
I think you have to go back one more, Ron. You have to go to the tab on the left there. Yeah, this one. Nope, that's the live stream right there.
Okay,
so that's door number 2.
Main page. This is a 97 live stream, and Dieter's just about to highlight that. Okay, so here we go, Dieter.
So we had challenges last year. However, we definitely wanna support all of you who cannot come to the Air Hollywood studios. So we will live stream the entire Friday class, which is anywhere between 2 to 3 hours usually, for you, and you can register for the live stream. And this time we'll have our own internet, so we're not dependent on Air Hollywood for the internet connection, and so therefore you can participate. And I'll be monitoring the live stream as well, so you have the opportunity to ask questions, and we'll if the question is one that we think that's a great one to answer right then and there, either Ron or Eric or Diane will answer it, and I'll moderate that. And so that's the option if you cannot attend in person, or if you are flying with us but Friday is you already have a commitment somewhere else, then you can join via the live stream.
So this is the mock-up that over at Air Hollywood, and or at least this was the last one. Will be something similar to that. And like I said, it's a great opportunity. You'll see us interviewing people, talking with people, Q&A from people who are just as afraid, if not more so than you. You'll get to hear what it's like for them as they anticipate the flight the next day. And you'll get all the realism in that, and you'll certainly be able to identify with that. So please give it a shot, and if you can't make it, consider showing up for that. Okay. Do we want to highlight a little bit, Dieter, about the ways to that they can get in this with the 201?
Sure. Briefly, if you go back to the first page.
To the Chrome, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, correct. So we do have another option, and that is something, if you are thinking about joining us, this is a special offer that I would highly recommend, because not only do you get access to our flagship course, Cleared for Takeoff 201, you also get 60 days of unlimited access to our
flash this
Fearless
out one more
Flight
time.
Club.
So here's the deal. If you don't want to do anything else, you've never done anything else, and you just want to join us for the flight $497, okay? But we are saying, if you are really serious about overcoming your fear of flying, you got plenty of time to get ready for this and stuff like that. What Dieter is saying, you can jump in on our flagship course, the Cleared for Takeoff 201 global online course. And then, as Dieter was saying, 60 days of unlimited access to the courseware. 10 hours of video, right, Dieter?
More than 10 hours of content. Yeah.
And we've just reorganized it. We've got quizzes in there. We got desired learning objectives in there, what you should get. It's just really been changed. We got testimonials from people in the past. We got testimonials from people that I interviewed before we took this course. We recorded this course originally. So you'll hear other people like you, what it was like for them. And not only that, this 201, you get within your 60 days unlimited access, you get membership to our Fearless Flyer Club, which is now just a couple of years old, and you're going to be eligible for a bunch of other benefits. In addition to that, you're going to be able to attend our monthly live coaching sessions. The next one of which I mentioned is coming up on Thursday night. The third Thursday of every month, we have a live coaching session, a little bit of cognitive content that we teach, and then we interact with people in the class live on that. And then now tell them about the discount, Peter.
Well, if you choose to enroll into the special offer, which is $197, then we're going to give you a $200 coupon for the Cleared for Takeoff 301 in Hollywood. So instead of $497, you just paid $297. So this is really our very best offer.
It's the lowest price ever.
Farm.
Lowest price ever for the Cleared for Takeoff 201 class.
Yeah.
And that's the foundation for everybody. Okay. Anything else we want to say about that, Peter?
No, other than I'll also send out an email and we'll post it in our Birds of a Feather. So don't worry if you don't catch the link tonight. We'll have that posted and sent out via email as well in the next couple of days.
Okay. All right. Hopefully you will go back to the PowerPoint.
We're seeing your PowerPoint presenter view right now.
Oh, perfect. Pilot error in progress. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So that's everything you ever wanted to know about that. But if you didn't get everything you wanted to know, please let us know. Send an email stuff. And please spread the word, because every time we do one of these, I get about a half a dozen calls the next week about people saying, are you going to have another class in the LA area? So please let everybody know. And if you're in Phoenix, or you're going to be in Phoenix in the second week in November, we're going to highlight that one next week. So we're going to do a Phoenix class if you're in the Phoenix area. All right. We talked about that.
Yep.
And you're talking over $500 off the regular price, 60 days access to the 201 and the Fearless Flyer Club. We talked about that. And okay, just a quick review, a quick reminder about the Thursday night, our premier Fearless Flyer monthly group coaching webinar. And it's part of for those of you who are in the Fearless Flyer Club, it's one of the benefits that you get. And if you're in the 201, you get to get this as a benefit as well. So come down here. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite turbulence. And I think, Eric, are you going to be able to make it?
Which Thursday is this?
Thursday, 2 days.
This for
in 2 days, this Thursday night? Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, cool. Now, so you'll have two pilots there prepared to lie to you to whatever extent we need to about turbulence. Now, we're going to give you the straight skinny on turbulence and tell you why it isn't any threat, why and how we cope with it, and all that. Here's just a teaser. It's going to understanding and managing turbulence in aviation, and it's going to be a comprehensive program. Okay, we had something. What was it last week? Was it the ATR crashed? I think that.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days.
And we've been getting covered up with people saying, "Hey, talk about this. Talk about this. How could this happen?" Well, we're going to do that. So give us the highlights, Eric.
All right, you guys, I have memorized details on this stuff. I don't know why, until my head's about to explode. And so I'm going to try and give you a fast once over and cover most of your questions. But if we don't get to them next week on Crew Edition, if we still have outstanding questions, we can talk some more about it. But this is a great picture of an ATR 72. And if you didn't see it 3 or 4 days ago in Brazil, there was horrible cell phone video of one of them flat spinning out of clouds on the approach into Sao Paulo, Brazil, and everyone was killed. And if you saw it, I can understand how that's pretty upsetting because it's real gruesome. And if you didn't see it, if I were you, I wouldn't pull it up. But anyway, this is the ATR. And back in the day, in the 80s,
Yeah,
particularly
80s and 90s,
into the early 90s, regional airlines flew high-powered turboprops. It was just after deregulation, and all the baby jets weren't on the drawing board. And this was built by a French and Italian consortium, and it was extremely high performance, very fast, could haul a lot of people a long ways, and it was a good airplane.
You can see the skinny fuselage and the thin wing. That's what made it fast. The airlines loved it, cheap to operate in terms of fuel and stuff, and whatnot. It was a good.
It didn't need a lot of lift off the wing because it had a tremendous amount of power. But in 1994, one of them being operated by American Eagle, Simmons Airlines, was flying from Evansville to O'Hare and was holding in the clouds in icing conditions over Roselawn, Indiana. And it stalled, as we've told you guys about stalling the wing. It stalled in the icing conditions, flat spun out of the clouds, and everybody was killed. And it is very eerily similar to this thing last week. We'll see what the report said, but it was very interesting what the FAA did after that. They really took a hard look at the airplane and said, what's up with this thing? And they did a lot more icing tests on it. And for a while, they grounded it in icing conditions, wouldn't let it go at all. And they did more and more testing. And when they saw how it worked and what was up, they lifted that restriction, but prohibited it from flying in freezing rain or freezing drizzle. Ron, if you'll go back to the airplane for a second.
Yeah, I was just going to give them a quick thing about what happened. They enhanced the de-icing system, which Eric's going to touch on all that. They changed the operational procedures, how we fly the things. They changed training. They made sure the pilots know all about that, and they changed the certification. And those are typical things that happen when we have an accident, and they do all the homework there related to that. So, okay.
So if you look at that picture on the outboard section of the right wing where there's a black line on the front of it, the way ice is removed from high-powered piston twins and turboprops is different than from a jet plane. In a jet plane, there's so much heat generated by the engine, you can heat the leading edges of the surface of the wings and the engine lips. Where on these airplanes, which are propeller driven, but they're powered by a jet engine, but there isn't enough air volume to extract that and do the same thing. So they install those rubber deals, which are right here called de-icer boots. They're made out of rubber, and the airplane uses vacuum pumps, pneumatic systems, so that when ice builds up on the wing, like the top picture, and it's flush to the wing, and when you get an ice buildup on the wing, you can inflate them, and they inflate.
Imagine having an inflatable vest like they do in the pre-flight there. Imagine having that, pouring some water on it and icing it, and then pull the lanyard to inflate it. Go ahead.
It blows the ice off into the slipstream, and it works very, very well. What happened they found initially on the ATR was that at some point with what we called high angle of attack from slow flight or the flaps extended, some of the ice ran back over the boots and loaded up on the top of the wing and disturbed the airflow over the ailerons, producing unwanted flutter or inputs to the ailerons. And in the case of the Roselawn accident, causing the airplane to stall and spin out. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is highly likely what happened in Brazil, whether the system was working or not. They were flying in reported heavy icing conditions, and the picture of the airplane showed it flat spinning. It was completely stalled, and it was probably the same thing. But they did do, as Ron showed the slide, they went back, did some recertification, and the FAA said, okay, if you're going to fly in icing conditions, don't use the autopilot so you can feel changes in the lift. Keep your speed up and holding. Do not deploy the flaps, and do some other things to mitigate the airplane just flying along by itself and you not realizing that it's in trouble. So when they did that, they released the airplane to fly again, except for the freezing drizzle and freezing rain, as I mentioned. However, that was late in the area of the turboprops, and the fix was in. The airlines quickly said, oh my gosh, if we can't dispatch this thing anytime there's icing in the forecast, what a nightmare. So they moved their fleets from the northern cities to the southern cities. Right away, they swapped airplane types, brought Saab 340s and Dash airplanes north, took the ATRs south where they could dispatch them not in icing conditions. But really, you can have icing conditions out of Miami and Houston if you're high enough. But that was their initial fix at a cost with cancellations and everything else of hundreds of millions of dollars. And they were over 100 million settling to the passengers on the airplane. And back in the 90s, a few $100 million was a lot of money. And the baby jets were coming along. So the fix was in, and that was kind of the death knell for the ATR for passenger hauling here. They still do it in foreign countries, but between the bad press from the crash and the restrictions on flying it, the airlines kind of threw up their hands and said that's enough. But that was believed to have what caused that crash, and I strongly suspect this one in Brazil too. And if we need to talk about that some more next week, we surely will.
So just to kind of recap what Eric said, if something happens to either they inflated the boot so it couldn't break the ice off, or whatever, what Eric talked about was a problem where the ice which it doesn't normally happen in a high-speed airplane, because the only place the ice normally flies on like a 737 is on the leading edge. But on this airplane, it had a tendency to go over the top here. And the reason that changes it, now it's like an engineer just completely redesigned the wing in flight, and you are now a test pilot. Yep. So one of the things Eric said was that they fly it with the autopilot off if they're in those kind of conditions, so they can get the feel of something changing on that and get the heck out of there. So we'll have to wait uncomfortably while we find out what happened, but they will find out what happened. And probably the best thing is you don't need to worry about it, because you're probably not going to fly one of these things. So, but everybody is curious because of like Eric said, the drama of the video that was captured with the thing going in. So, okay. I'd like to highlight people who deserve our recognition out there doing the hard work of flying. Randy has been a loyal participant in the Clear for Takeoff 201. He has been to multiple of our monthly live group coaching sessions in preparation for a big trip that he went back to Europe and England. And he just wrote me today. He said, Capt Ron, Randy Smith here. Just wanted to let you know that my flights to Europe and England and back were fantastic. My wife and I had a great time for 21 days. I didn't spend the vacation dreading the flight home, and both flights were enjoyable, and I sure appreciate everything you and the group has done to help me make that happen for me. My next flight will be next June to Seattle. In the meantime, I will stay in touch with the group, keep my skills where they need to be. I appreciate all of you and in the coaching. And Randy joined to be a lifetime group member, and he takes full advantage. I mean, he's always there for whatever comes along with that. So every day, every time he attends one of our events, he gives himself a lower unit cost for what he paid. So we really, really appreciate Randy. And I'm going to try to get him on the show here as a guest, just so you can see just how much fun and how self-satisfying it is for people like Randy when they get over that.
Ron, we have an interesting, I'm not sure if you guys are briefed on this SkyWest incident. Pilot that wasn't apparently told the people on the plane that he wasn't qualified to land in Jackson Hole.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that? Because that is something that came up in chat.
Do either of you guys know it?
Our flight attendant might know a thing or two about this.
Well,
okay.
I am surprised that he said anything using those words. And Eric and Ron can speak to this a little bit more specifically, but there are some places we fly to, and that's just not SkyWest or any other.
Special purpose airports.
The what?
They're special purpose airports. They have something about them, either the
I was
approach.
gonna get to that part.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted. Yeah, I just wanted.
Because I've flown into there. Okay, I'm just telling you, I've flown into there, and I don't know that necessarily our fearful flyers need to know all that specifics, but there are some airports, some markets we fly into that have certain characteristics about them, which makes them a little bit more. I don't want to say difficult. That's not fair, but a little more specific as far as the requirements. And so Aspen, Colorado is one of them. Those airports are usually, the elevation's high, they're maybe surrounded by mountains. So the approach and the landing are very controlled, I guess. Eric, is that a good term to use?
There's restrictions that exist there that don't exist other places.
On other places. And so
one of the primary ones is performance. If you lose an engine climbing out of Jackson Hole, it's high altitude, you don't have it, and there's terrain around, so you have to fly a prescription.
Yeah, there's
Reno is another one like that. So those are the main reasons. It's because of the performance.
Eagle, Aspen, Jackson Hole. So there's a lot of those places, particularly in Colorado. Anyway, and so the pilots that fly aircraft into those markets have special training, additional training, specifically for those conditions. And as I said, I've flown into Aspen, I've flown into Eagle, I've not flown into Jackson Hole that I can recall, but they are different. They are different coming in, and they're different leaving when we take off. So apparently the pilot in this instance, perhaps the weather conditions, I'm sure he was qualified, or he or she, but he was qualified to fly in, but perhaps because of the conditions changing, that all of a sudden the weather came in. So Eric, why don't you take it at that point?
If the in and out of those places, there are generally weather minimums that are higher, ceiling and visibility requirements that are more restricted than at other airports because of, as Ron mentioned, the terrain, our ability to clear the terrain, our ability to escape if we have to do it on one engine. And as Diane mentioned, that special training into those airports that may include reading pamphlets, watching videos, and flying in and out of there with a check airman on a regular basis, and or doing simulator checks on the recurrent training expires and has to be done repetitively. And obviously what happened at some point, this guy fell through the cracks and got dispatched there by crew scheduling, and he was out of currency to be operating in and out of the special purpose airports. And I might not have picked his exact verbiage to say to the passengers, but it was darn funny, and it was the God's honest truth. He was out of currency to go in there, and he couldn't do it, and so he had to go to an airport and sit for a while they got somebody that was current to finish the flight.
So really,
that's a crew certification thing, and it's an administrative problem. So like Eric alluded, it's not like he was unqualified. He just has to have that review credited to him on an annual basis.
And I think that's the crux of it, Ron. It's not that the person could not have landed there. It's more like he did not want to get into a situation where he lands this plane but has not the correct paperwork to back him up.
Yeah, it's a big time fine for one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so that,
depending how the certification that they got their certificate from the FAA can come out of his pocket, but usually the airline takes it because it was their responsibility.
And so that's in my way of thinking, and I think for most of us that I've been following on my company's Facebook pages, is that captain deserves a great deal of credit for making that decision. That is a very brave and smart move on that individual's part, and he should be lauded and praised for having made that decision.
Yeah.
And guess what?
There's no
every airline out there went through and rechecked everybody who has any special airport or special purpose airport qualifications.
You know, I was in Wichita, Kansas this morning very early, and our flight was supposed to leave at 6 a.m. and we were more than an hour delayed because it was pouring rain with lightning and thunder, and it was just very, very bad. And so when we finally left, one of the passengers mentioned something to me about the weather, and I reminded them that we crew members, we have loved ones and families and friends that we want to go home to. And so we don't go in the air, or we don't do flights unless we know it's safe. And so that pilot made that decision, was to make sure that everybody was safe and that everybody got to where they were going eventually in a very safe manner. So I'm very highly impressed with that particular individual's actions. Like Aaron, I might not have used those words, but having done so, he still made the right decision.
My only curiosity on that is, who figured it out first? Dispatch, crew scheduling, or him?
Or him.
Oops, I'm out by a week. Oh no. Yeah.
And the fact that you had all three of those possibilities shows you again how much duplication there is in the effort.
Right.
So mistakes happen, but instead of being like the old Orville and Wilbur days when we tried to pretend like we never made mistakes, now we talk about capturing mistakes and making sure that they don't become consequential.
Or
So
as
that's
Sandra
really-
comments, transparency actually increases trust, right?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
being authentic,
Absolutely.
being real. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And there's somebody who hadn't flown in 60 plus years. So way to go, Sandra.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think
Plug
that's
for
it.
next week. Shameless plug for next week is Crew Edition. We're gonna have our first ever guest. Who?
It's
Diane,
a secret. No.
Oh, don't say anything else.
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
Diane,
It's my guest. It's my guest. It's
Diane,
my
guest. She'll be handling it all. Yeah.
Okay. So thanks for showing up, everybody. We really appreciate your support. On behalf of Dieter, Diane, and Eric and myself, thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week for another edition of Fearless Flight Live. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.